Hey, this is Chantel Girardi from Online Business Marketing, and today I'm going to help you to create a sellable business. Now, some of you are going to go, oh my gosh, I love my business. There's no way in hell I want to sell my business. Well, I thought that too when I had a health, wellness, and fitness center on the Gold Coast, and then suddenly health issue, life change issue happened. And within about a year, I made the decision like I actually needed to sell the business. And I was so incredibly grateful that without even knowing what I was doing, I'd actually created a sellable business. And I'm going to go over some of those things to you. So when it comes to, business and growing a business and a successful business and making money, part of that should be selling it, right? Because if you can sell it, it means it wasn't all for nothing. And I'm going to share with you today some of those things. So regardless of whether or not you think you're going to sell your business or you're not going to sell your business or you're never going to sell your business, having these things within your business is going to help you to create a more profitable business, a business that is going to help you to grow because it has the foundations of a successful, scalable business. And that's why somebody else would pay you for it, right? They would only pay you for a business if it had the bones and foundations of being successful. They're not going to buy something that's a dud, right? So I'm going to go through that with you today. And of course, I'm going to share with you some of the whys. I'm going to share with you some things to consider when you're setting up a business. And many people haven't done that. They've missed out some things or some steps in the setup. So we're going to go over that. We're going to go over what people look for when they're actually buying a business or what creates a sellable business. And then I'm also going to be looking at specifically the marketing assets. Because I can tell you right now that the only reason that I could sell my health, wellness, and fitness center was because I had assets, marketing assets. And I'm going to share with you what those marketing assets are and how you can simply create those things within your business. And some of you may have done it already. So what I advise you to do is to have two pieces of paper. If I mention something and you go, you know what, I've got that in my business, well, obviously then great, pat yourself on the back. You don't need to worry about writing it down. However, if I say something that's important to have inside a sellable business, I recommend that you write it on either the high priority page, like this is high priority, need to action ASAP, or in the low priority page, because obviously high priority you can action sooner, low priority you will be less overwhelmed if they're all on one page. The other thing is if you don't know what it is. So if I go, oh, you need to do this, that, and this, and you go, oh my gosh, I have no idea what that is, just write it down on the other page, right? And for those of you who are watching the YouTube recording, just push the little settings icon and you can either speed me up, slow me down, or pause me so that you can go and write it. Luckily, our VIPs get a one-on-one chit chat session at the end of this once we stop pressing recording, so we can go over all of that, and they also get the notes as well. So at the end of the day, I said it's the last thing that you think about when you create a business is that selling a business. And I say that it is my number two neglect. So my number one thing that I'm really upset that I didn't do sooner was email marketing. And I'm definitely going to say number two was that I never, ever thought about having an exit strategy. And some of you may have heard that term, but having an exit strategy you think is only for people who want to exit. It's not. It's about being able, if you can create a business that has an exit strategy, the irony is you're probably going to enjoy running it because it's systemized, automated, and actually making money. You probably don't want to sell it anyway. So there's benefits of having this in place. And as I said, number two for me, 100% is not having considered creating a business that is that I could actually sell. So I'm going to share with you what a thriving business should have. And I'm going to consider things like revenue, marketing, sales, your systems, your team, your current team that you have in place, the product or service you offer, legalities, insurance, risk management, and financials. More importantly, I am going to speak about the marketing side of it as well, because I see this all the time when I get employed to transfer assets, marketing assets from one company to another company when they sell the business. And I've also seen it when they've gone to do that, and because it wasn't set up correctly, they actually couldn't. So a company bought a business with, say, a Facebook page with 10,000 people that was active, and they actually cannot get access to that page. They cannot get admin rights to that page because they cannot do a transfer because it was never set up properly. And yeah, I don't want that for you at all. So We're going to look at good business models, diverse marketing and sales plans, and how, the importance of having multiple lead generation strategies and an ongoing revenue model. So a revenue model that's not based on your time and it's not a once-off purchase, because that is not an ongoing revenue model. If they buy from you and never need you again, that is not ongoing revenue. It means you're constantly having to look for a new customer, a new client, constantly. Okay, so you're therefore less likely to be bought if that's the case. All right, so it can significantly enhance the appeal of your business to potential buyers. So let's look at setting up first. Now, some of you have gone, I've already set up my business. I know what I did. I can guarantee you some of these elements that you've absolutely forgot. Having just recently set up a second business myself, I can say that I went through all of these things and I did not overlook some of these things because I thought that they were inconvenient or a waste of time. If I looked at it and went, oh, this is not fun, I don't really want to do this, I'll do this tomorrow. No, this is the stuff that you should be doing, and this is the order that you should be doing it in. So firstly, you have to have a clear business concept. So when I came up with my business design, that's exactly what you've got to do. You've got to be able to define your product or service, identify your target audience specifically, their buying behavior as well, and you have got to conduct market research. So for those of you who've had a business for a long time, if you have not gone online recently and done a competitors analysis and looked at people's socials, their website, their offers, their lead magnets, even their software that they use, because you can often see all of that, I highly recommend that you go and do that to 3 businesses that you aspire to be like. You will learn so much. Then you need to have a business plan. And so many people don't have a business plan. They just go, yeah, I'm just going to wing it. I'm just going to do it. So you have to outline your goals. You've got to have a detailed marketing strategy, and you've also got to have financial projections. So for example, you've got to look at how much is this going to cost? How much does my business cost me? And how much do I need to make? All right. The third part is the legal structure and compliance. Choosing a suitable legal structure, registering your business, and complying with registration. So straight away, I had to go on and have a look if are the names available? Does someone else have my name? I know recently Alison had that. Alison was going to go trademark something recently and someone else had the name. She'd already printed labels, so she had to go do it all over again. So you want to go and look at the legalities as well and make sure that, no one else has that name. And you can actually use it and register your business. Already this morning, I had an accountant private message me and he was like, I saw that you set up a new business, have you structured it under new ABN? And I said to him, actually, I've just let my accountant and bookkeeper know. And I went, I'm an activator, which means I go and I do stuff. And then I asked my bookkeeper and accountant to catch up. So already today, they're going and structuring and doing everything in the background. I'm not too far ahead though, so it's good. But they're going in and properly setting it up. And the funny thing is that you really do have to have a little bit of smarts when it comes to this, because one of the advice was, oh, don't worry, just keep trading underneath the name of your other business. But if you want to create a sellable business, you can't. You have to have your income and expenses in 2 different platforms. And yes, that means you're going to have to pay extra to have 2 lots of bookkeeping done. But if you want to be able to sell one of those businesses, like I do with the second business that I've just started, I need to have that separate. It cannot all be coming in mixed into one, because it's going to be very difficult to sell it then. Insurances, looking at, any insurance that you need to look at. So obviously just make sure that you've got experts who you can talk to about all of that. And then the financial management. So, one of the things that I did is that there's money, expenses coming out of the new business account. So therefore I've got to go and put money into that account. So how do you allocate that? Okay. So again, speak to your bookkeeper, speak to your accountant, but I had to set up a separate Stripe account under the new business name, so that the second Stripe account, all the income and expenditures can go into that Stripe account and can be completely separate. That means I've got to go set up another bank card and have it completely separate. Okay. So there are some things, and I think what happens is sometimes in the beginning stages, we keep things messy, and then we get into a situation which, like Jay had recently, where she had 1,000 different email addresses and 1,000 different business names because she hadn't cleaned up from the original brand that she'd originally done. And trust me, cleaning up a mess is harder than just going in and sorting it out from the beginning. All right, so let's talk about building your business. You want to look at revenue generation, okay? You've got to have various different income streams. Now, we know this, right? We saw this during COVID. If one income stream dries up, you've got to have another income stream coming in. So whilst right now, my whole goal to build this other business is to, I need a reoccurring income model. I want something separate to the current business that I have, because my current business is based on time and I need a business that's not based on time. So therefore now I've got two different income streams coming through. But within that second business, you want to make sure that you have various income streams coming within that business. And I will, because for example, we'll have a managed service and we'll have an unmanaged service within this. You've got to make sure that you look at your pricing and that your pricing is competitive. So again, if you've done your competitors analysis, you're going to know that. And then, of course, you've got to be able to do effective invoicing and things like that. So you've got to make sure that your income and expenditures are set up correctly. The second part of that is your marketing. You've got to make sure that you develop a strong brand identity. So I had an umbrella idea of what I wanted to do over the course of the week. I was exceptionally busy. I've just come off the back of a massive conference, come back into a massive week of coaching, then wanted to launch a whole new business. Then I'm training for a Thailand charity bicycle ride. So I did what any good person would do, and that was jump in a camper van, run away to a waterhole in the middle of nowhere, and then go and do all of this, because I could clear my mind, step outside of it, step into my creativity and go, right, I need to get this right. Because if you do not get your brand identity right and your strategy right, how are you then going to be able to build the website, the content marketing plan, the lead magnet? How are you going to be able to do any of that if you just go, I want a business, but I actually don't know what that brand identity is? So we sat into that space, and it was quite funny because Daryl was messaging me, and when I sent him the temporary logo, because we've got a temporary logo, we don't have a final logo yet, and the colors, he was like, this is nothing like your other business. Shouldn't be a little bit the same. And I said to him, no, actually, I want it completely different to the other business. So thank you for noticing. I want it completely different. So I'm glad that he felt the difference in the two businesses, because that means that my key messaging and my mission statements and everything, they're going to be some similarities, obviously, because my ethos, my values are still going to be there. But it's good that he was able to feel that sense of difference. So number 3 then is a sales strategy. You have to look at sales. You can't, a lot of people don't focus on marketing, but then they don't make sales. But a lot of people also focus on marketing and then they don't focus on sales. And they're two different areas. I believe they should be managed together. So in a lot of companies, they've got a sales team and a marketing team, and often those people on two opposite sides of the building, and they never ever come together and meet. They should be together and meeting and chatting, and it should be one cohesive strategy. But a sales strategy is about, training and empowering your sales team. It's about making sure that you have a CRM within your business. And I'm going to say this one, and this one for me is absolutely huge. And that is, you have sales targets. If you do not have a number up in front of you, like I have got a number, I just need to make one sale this week before Friday, and I've got one written up, like on my laptop. If you do not have a number in front of your eyes, whether or not it's a sale or whether or not it's an amount of money, if you do not have that, you are not sales focused. And that is in my personal experience. The best time of my life when I made the largest amount of money in over a period of time was actually totally weird. It was when I was combining the absolute woo-woo with the absolute practical. So I was doing a money manifestation course at the same time that I was working with a sales coach who made us every single Monday, we had to say what our sales focused activities, specify what they were, when we were going to do them, and how much we wanted to make. And we had to report back every week publicly in front of everyone else, whilst I was doing my manifestation at the same time. So absolutely woo-woo to the absolute practical. And the irony is I made the most ever. So you have to have clear sales targets. If you don't, go put a number. Even if it's just one, put a number on your laptop right now. You need to be focusing on something, right? So number 4 then is that you have to have systems and processes in place. A streamlined operational process. You have to invest in technology and you have to develop contingency plans. So what if the shit hits the fan? Okay. You need to have what if the shit hits the fan time inside your diary. I always say that every day there needs to be that time in your diary. But what happens if your system goes down? I remember ActiveCampaign went down one year and a client had paid. She didn't receive her onboarding email for 4 days. And she was so upset with the way that we handled her onboarding after she paid. She felt like she didn't get enough touch points or love, that she just wanted a refund. And I said to her, like, I'm so sorry. Like, we have an automation in place. ActiveCampaign went down. The trigger went down. It just did not work. And, I apologized. And obviously we made good. But how do you know when that hasn't happened? Like, when you're relying on automation to happen, the automation isn't happening. Somebody has to be monitoring your systems and processes, and you have to expect that shit's going to hit the fan sometimes. And when last did you check your automation? So this is another thing that I do. I have an SOP week, and in the SOP week, we do it whenever we're quiet. And every single person on my team, they can't just do something. They've got to check the process. So therefore, if I'm onboarding a client, I would go in and just onboard them, just put like activated and ActiveCampaign, which is what I'm currently using. However, what happens when I activate the automation? Well, this should set off this sequence of emails. In SOP week, we actually go and check those emails and make sure the branding's up to date, the language is still up to date, the automation timing is still correct. In SOP week, we check that process is still running and it's running well. Because I've got businesses that after 5 years have not checked it. And in fact, the email offer isn't even working, or their subject line's outdated, or the name of their program has changed. Or we found one recently where somewhere we said, oh, new year, new you. And we're already at the end of the year and it's already saying, and one of our emails said, new year, new you in an automation. But it's not anymore. We're now almost at the next year. So you need to go in and make sure that you have contingency plans in place and that you're also checking your systems and processes. Number 5 is team building. You've got to make sure that you've got skilled and motivated team members, foster a positive work culture, and provide ongoing training. Whenever I say to my team, do you need any training? They all tell me, no, they're good, because they just want to get on with what they're doing. But whenever I say we're having a training day, guess what? They always find something that they need help with. So you have to have ongoing training. If you're outsourcing to people, you want to make sure that you are also sending them training and saying to them, I really would appreciate if you look at this for me, because this is something I want to implement within my business. Because some of them can get a bit slack or stale as well. You want to encourage problem-solving skills with your team as well. So that there's not a culture of they're just going yes, yes, yes to you the whole time. They're going, hold on, have you thought about doing this? All right, so I think it's number 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, product or service development. So you have to continuously be looking at your offer and your product and going, is it still relevant in the marketplace right now? Okay, because chances are your product, whatever it is, and for me, I know that we're completely changing the name of all our programs. The outline's going to be completely the same, but the name has changed. Why is the name changed? Because we're finding when people come to us, they're using different language of what they're looking for right now, which means that someone's going to come and they're going to buy your business, they're going to buy your product, or you're going to buy your service. Is your name outdated? Is it still relevant? Is it still an aspiration for your ideal client? Part of that product and service development, if someone's looking to buy your business, they're going to have a look to see whether or not you ever survey your customers. Do you ever survey your customers and get feedback from them so that you can stay relevant? Legal compliance and risk management. I mean, you just got to keep looking at contracts, making sure that they're up to date, stay up to date with regulations, and identify potential risks. I think an accountant was telling me last week that you can, I think there's something that you can write off in your marketing at the moment or something. So you have to stay abreast with that. Like straight away, I'll email my accountant and go, hey, listen, what's the story? But you've got to make sure that you ask the question, because in my experience, if you don't ask the question, chances are they'll just carry on doing the doing and they're just not actually getting back to you with stuff. So I keep everyone on their toes by asking the right questions, which means as a business owner, you've got to stay a bit savvy. Okay, so let's talk about business asset transfers. And, I created this checklist for your marketing, but more so, this business asset transfer checklist. If you were to sell your business, you would have to transfer the assets to other people. This is also going to help you identify whether or not you've actually set them up correctly. I know over the weekend when I was setting up my new business, I took a screenshot of how my new business has just been added as admin to my new business. And I sent that to Daryl and Rachel, and they were like, oh my gosh, how did you do that? And I went, because making myself admin isn't enough. I have to add it as an asset in my business manager account. And then straight away, I went to my sister and I added her as an equal admin. So if I die, she'd be able to have access to the platform, and she'd be able to go in and she'd be able to sell that platform. Okay, so that's an example of it. My daughters came in yesterday after church, and they were like, and they saw on Instagram, that's how we stay in touch now, is on stories and Instagram, where are you? What are you doing? It's like, okay, that's where she is. She's at a waterhole setting up a new business. That's my daughters. They, babysitting, and they're at church doing their thing. And when I came home, I said to them, girls, if ever I die, you need to contact, Auntie Tanya and find out, because she's got admin rights to all my assets. And they're like, Mum, why do you always talk about when you're going to die? And I said, because if I die, you're not going to know where to find stuff. So you've got to make sure that you can find all my assets. Okay, so business asset transfer checklist for marketing. You need to document your market strategy. Now, again, remember those pieces of paper. Do you have a document of your marketing strategy that you can pass over to someone? It's a comprehensive overview of your past and current marketing strategies. It includes details on successful campaigns, your target audience, your insights, and it has performance indicators. Number 2, your brand assets. You have to transfer the ownership of all your brand assets. So do you have a branding folder which has your logos, your trademarks, all your intellectual property, with high resolution versions of all your marketing materials? So you can go here. Do you have digital marketing accounts? Can you provide access or credentials to all your digital marketing accounts, including all your social media platforms, your advertising platforms, your email marketing tools? Have you updated your ownership of all your platforms, which is what I was talking about earlier, and all your admin or users on all your accounts? So if you think Google, Facebook, your Facebook business manager account, your Google listing account, your YouTube account, Instagram, LinkedIn, all those accounts, do you have all of those credentials in one place so you can hand that over to someone? Number 4, website and domain ownership. So could you transfer the ownership of your business website and domain to the buyer? Okay. So therefore, do you have all the necessary login credentials so that you can ensure a smooth transition to the new person? Number 5, customer data and databases. And again, this is one of the reasons why I was able to sell my previous business, was because I had an email list. So could you transfer your customer database, ensuring compliance with data protection regulation? I spoke about a couple of weeks ago, had a guy contact me. He's like, I've bought 70,000 people's contact details. And I'm like, I don't care. That's cold. All those people are cold. I don't know where those people have come from. I don't know what back-end yard you bought those people from. But I know that if I'm building an email list, it's qualified leads. They're qualified people. It may be smaller than 70,000, but they are qualified. They like what I've got. They're interested in what I've got. Therefore, you'd be able to hand that email list over to them and be able to then definitely follow regulations with how you market to them after that, which will change as the years go by. And you'd obviously provide documentation on data collection processes and opt-in mechanisms. So here's the thing, all your lead magnets. Do they have access to all your lead magnets, all your flows, so they know how people are opting in and the journeys that they're going through, the funnels that they're going through? Do you have all those systems, those flows, those processes mapped out? So they can simply go, okay, there it is, there it is, there it is. Content and collateral. So can you provide something, even if it's just your Canva account, that may have all your marketing collateral, your brochures, your presentations, all your promotional materials all in one thing? Maybe it's just in Google, maybe it's all in Canva. Wherever it is, can you just hand that all over so that you can transfer those rights across to those people? Analytics and reporting. Can you transfer over past analytics and reporting systems to them so that you can provide documentation? In fact, they're going to ask you for this when buying your business. They're going to ask you for what are the numbers that you have in all your accounts. How many people do you have on your email list? How many people on your Facebook account, your LinkedIn account, like all your accounts? They're going to ask because those are all assets. How many lead generation funnels do you have within your business? They're going to ask for that. Then they're going to also ask for the performance of those as well and the conversions of all of that. Contracts and commitments. So if you've got any existing advertising contracts in place or contracts to suppliers as well, ongoing commitments. A company that we social media manage for at the moment, they've just had a change in their marketing team. And therefore I had to contact them and say, right, transfer, the contract was then transferred to a new person. It also happens in a rebrand. So you need to be able to do that as well. So if you've got any ongoing commitments, prepaid arrangements, or even ad spend or sponsorship agreements, the transfer of that. So if you've got influencers, for example, you've now got to transfer that over to the new owner. Then we're looking at customer reviews and testimonials. You want to transfer ownership of customer reviews and testimonials so they don't have to go and get new ones. And provide a list of platform where the business has been reviewed, and then just update the ownership. So I did this for a category. I went in and I changed the ownership of the Google My Business listing. So it went to the new buyer. Therefore, all those testimonials went to the new buyer as well. You may need to also show transfer of ownership documents to those people too. Then you've got to have an employee train over and handover. So for example, if your team's coming with it, if you've got a VA that manages it and your VA is part of that deal, is going to work with that person, there needs to be a training or a handover session as well, which is seamless. But if you've got a project management system and all your team training is recorded inside of that, you can simply hand that over as well. And you can understand how a company would want to buy that from you because you've got all that too. Legal compliance and documentation. So all your legal stuff is all in one place as well. You might have a transition plan in place. So for example, with my health, wellness and fitness center, there was a transition plan of handover. So where I was phased out of the business over a certain period of time, so that it wouldn't be so disruptive to the clients, the customers of that business. But it could be based on timelines, key milestones, or even just points of contact, like how often you'll be in contact with that person in the transition plan. A communication plan as well. So how do you communicate with customers, suppliers, partners, that your contact information is all up to date. So you want to make sure that all your communication and your contacts are all up to date as well, also in a CRM, so you can hand that over. Any non-disclosure agreements that may be in place, so to protect sensitive marketing strategies and proprietary information. So for example, strikehold is you're not allowed to know the formula for strikehold, so they would have all of that non-disclosure sort of agreements in place as well. And then post-sales support. So you can talk about a specific duration or period of time that you would be made available. We did this with a graphic design company where they were available over 3 months. And there was boundaries that set in place for that, where they could continue to support them in the marketing process in the handover stage. Sure. Okay, lots. So at the end of the day, having a well-defined and scalable business model is crucial for attracting potential buyers. You should be able to, if you have all of that in place, you should be able to clearly communicate the value of your business, the deliverables of the business, and also show the value of it. You should be be able to show then the target audience that you have, and that you actually have that audience, and that you have a unique value proposition and people actually want to buy from you, and that your marketing channels are actually working. Make sure that you've got streamlined processes in place, that you've got the right technology in place, a stable revenue stream. Sorry. Tea with honey, hopefully that helps. And a clear understanding of your profit and losses. And I think this is really important. A business is only going to buy from you if you have a profitable business model or potential for a profitable business model. So At the end of the day, the best thing I ever did was follow the profit first thing. And I made a strict rule, we're probably going on 2 years now, was that I would only spend 30% of my income on expenses. And that was the best decision I ever made. So if you do not know your income versus your expenses, your operating expenses, I highly encourage you to go and do that. Every quarter when I do my BAS, my bookkeeper has to report the percentage. So full transparency, this last BAS quarter, I said, what was my percentage? She said my percentage of operating expenses was 35%. I went, that's it. We've got to get it down by 5%. And she said, don't worry, you've actually paid for a couple of things for a year in advance, which means over the next quarter, that's going to spread itself out a bit. But I've made that strict rule, and that was one of the best rules ever. And I think it keeps you honest as a business owner. One of my other rules, if I go back to my rules when it comes to finances within the business, is if you are under 6 figures, if you are under earning 6 figures, you should be doing the doing. For 2 reasons. 1, you can't afford not to. And number 2, you can't afford not to intellectually as a business owner not know how to manage things within your business. So I highly recommend, if you're under 6 figures in income, you do the doing. If you can't do the doing, you're not in an intellectual driver's seat of your business if you don't know how to do things within your business. And I honestly attribute that to me being successful in my business. That's one of my things, is that I never outsourced anything. I learned it, and I'm completely non-techie. I'm horrific. And nowadays we've got no excuse. Google it or go to ChatGPT. No excuses. If you're a VIP, just ask in the VIP group. I can support you or one of my team or the other members. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have a diverse marketing and sales team, because at the end of the day, if you do not have multiple lead generating strategies and an ongoing revenue model, no one's going to want to buy you. Okay, so this strategy includes digital marketing initiatives, having sales funnels, and the inclusion of revenue models like subscriptions. Having a subscription-based model is one of the most profitable business models that you can have, because it is money on repeat. All you've got to do is keep those customers happy. And also it adds, so all of that adds credibility to your business's attractiveness when they're looking for a business to buy. They'll come down to your leads list, your assets, your marketing tactics, and whether or not you've got a ongoing revenue model. All right, so I'm going to say goodbye to those that are watching the recording. If you'd like to be part of the live audience, you need to be a VIP or a client. You can click in the link below and connect from there. What happens by being a VIP is that you get supported through a Facebook group during the course of a week and get additional content and resources and support, as well as networking at the beginning, a little bit of chin wag, and then also at the end, we answer your questions. And they can be related to anything. Next week, we are going to be talking about outbound marketing strategies, which is basically your cold calling, prospecting strategies. So if you don't know someone, how do you get their attention? And you want to get the attention of the right people, obviously, because else it becomes a huge, massive waste of time. So goodbye to those who are watching online, and hello to our live audience.